Well, for those of you who have been to Egret Isle Farm, you'll recognize this as the front porch of the garden shed. I have been writing the last several weeks about the Thomas Merton poem, When in the Soul of the Serene Disciple, which has given the Serene Disciple Project its name. But after last week's newsletter, I want to take a week and answer some of the very good questions I got. What is sustainable agriculture, anyway? And what are organic methods? And what's a heritage breed, and why do you want to raise them and sell them? And what does all of this farm stuff have to do with the vision of the Serene Disciple Project and Egret Isle Farm? Well, those are all very good questions, and I want to get to them. But first, I need to give you a context. I wrote in a previous blog that what is now Egret Isle Farm was open, tall grass prairie roamed by buffalo for thousands of years before being settled. Shortly before the turn of the last century, settlers began to build homesteads. Farms were much smaller then in terms of acreage and much more diverse in terms of the animal and plant life the farms hosted. There were, in those days, dozens of different varieties of cattle, sheep, pigs, turkeys, chickens, and a wide variety of crops and vegetables grown. Along with the livestock and poultry, everyone had big gardens and produced most of the food eaten by the family on their small acreage farms. Very little was wasted, and farms were, for the most part, not dependent on outside resources to continue because, well, few outside resources were available. The population density of the countryside around here was higher than today. There were many more small towns with their little schools, blacksmiths, dry goods stores, and cotton gins. But over the course of the 20th century, all that changed. Small farms failed and were absorbed by neighbors. Population density decreased as average farm size increased. The little towns disappeared, and even regional centers like Taylor and Elgin shrank. At the same time, industrialized farming grew to replace more traditional methods. This led to a drastic narrowing of livestock species to a relative few, all bred for mass production on large farms, while fields became vast monocrops dependent on the industrial application of chemical fertilizers, pesticides, and herbicides. The whole enterprise came to rely on the constant availability of outside resources. But in the 20th century, things have begun to swing back in the other direction. Areas like this here at Egret Isle Farm that are within commuting distance of a large urban center are reverting to pre-20th century conditions. Large farms are being sold and broken up into smaller tracts. Population density is increasing. Even small town business districts around here are coming back to life. And all around here, people are setting up small-scale farmsteads or homesteads. It's a new day for the small farm, at least in some parts of America. But it's a new day that looks suspiciously like farm life of a century or more ago. All right, with that context, I think I'm ready to answer some of these questions. What do we mean by sustainable agriculture? Sustainability means farming in such a way that it can be sustained over the long term with as few resources as possible needing to be brought in from outside. So, for instance, a pasture management program like we use that employs selective grazing and mowing practices to keep the pasture healthy without the use of outside fertilizers and herbicides is sustainable. We hear a lot about sustainable agriculture today, more and more, but this sort of sustainability isn't new. It's what everyone did around here when farms were small and industrialized agriculture and its products didn't exist, and, well, because they didn't have any other choice. And so going forward is going back. All right, here's another one. What are organic methods? Well, while we're not certified organic and don't intend to pursue certification, as much as possible, we deal with weeds and pests in non-chemical ways, make use of composted materials for fertilizer, and allow our animals to graze or forage rather than being completely dependent on purchased feed. And since we keep our numbers of animals low and give them lots of room to roam, we don't usually have to treat them with antibiotics and do not give them hormones to speed their growth. Using organic methods is really just another form of sustainability. We don't have to buy much in the way of expensive farm chemicals or products, and so we're not dependent on them. Organic methods are more sustainable. All right, let's try another one. What are heritage breeds? Well, heritage breeds are all of those dozens of livestock breeds that were left behind in the industrialization process, like Narragansett Bronze and Spanish turkeys, Kerry, Redpoll, Guernsey, and Dexter cattle, Gloucestershire Old Spot, Tamworth, and Red Wattle pigs, which we raise. These breeds are better suited for small farms because they're healthier, better at foraging on their own, and are generally scrappier than their industrial counterparts. That's why Kay and I are part of an organization called the Livestock Conservancy, dedicated to the restoration of heritage breeds. We do that by breeding to increase the numbers. We also do that by creating a market for the meat. So we raise red wattle pigs. So every time you have a bite of Egret Isle Farm red wattle pig pork chop, you are helping to restore a heritage breed. It doesn't get much better than that. Now, we also raise various heritage turkeys, and we hope soon to be raising Dexter cattle. And so I will put links to a couple of videos for the Livestock Conservancy in the description below. It's a pretty cool organization. You might want to check it out and consider becoming a member yourself, or at least eating one of our pork chops. So what does all this farm stuff have to do with the Serene Disciple Project and Egret Isle Farm? Well, all of these fancy words are simply a way of describing how to live in peace, how to be in harmony with creation, how to be in partnership with the land, with the other plants and animals that we share it with, and ultimately how to be in peace and harmony and partnership with the Creator that created it all, God. Well, I think that's it for now. There will be a longer, more detailed version of this in this week's blog on egretislefarm.com. So I'll put the link in the description below. Make sure you check that out. And if you liked this video, go ahead and click that thumbs up button. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to this YouTube channel. Well, I'm glad you came by today, and I hope you come by again. There's always something going on at the farm. And I better get back to work.